Today we're going to talk about negative and positive space and how that helps us observe objects and also draw them. What do you think negative and positive space might mean? Here is a great example of positive and negative space. So in both images, you can tell that it's a picture of a mug. The one on the left is the positive space because you can see all of the things on the mug. The positive space is the space inside your object or subject. On the other side, we have our negative space, where the only thing that is shown is the space around our object. So the black part showing is the space that fills in the gaps around our object. Here is another picture with chairs. You can see that the negative space, in this case it's white, is the space around the chairs or inside the gaps in the chairs. The positive space is the actual chair itself. We saw some artists use their negative space in a creative way in our activity yesterday. So when you first look at this, you might see just an apple because that is the positive space, the space inside of the object. But when you look again, you might see the negative space, and it looks like two faces looking at each other in the area around the apple or the negative space. To artists, the area around a subject is just as important, so the negative space is just as important as the positive space. As you're drawing, it can really help to use your skills of observation to look at the space around a subject as well as the space inside of it. Today, we'll be looking only at the negative space or the space around our objects. In this picture, which side shows only the negative space or the space around an object? Is it on the left or is it on the right? Here we have an image with 4 negative space drawings. The only thing that's showing is the space around the objects. Can you guess what they might be? Let's see if we got them right. The first one is a clothespin, so you can see all the negative spaces in and around it. The next object was a leaf. This one might have been harder because it has no holes. Next up we had a key, and our last item was a dice. The key and the clothespin have lots of negative spaces inside, and they have unique shapes, which made it probably a little bit easier to tell what those objects were before we saw them. Now we're going to go through how you can create a picture using only negative space. So I chose an object that has a unique shape. It's not just a square or a circle. It has holes inside of it, so negative space inside it, and a little bit at the top by opening up these scissors. So I'm going to start with those negative spaces that I see. I see a triangle right where the scissors open, so that's what I'm going to start with. I'm not going to draw the line that goes all the way through the scissors that connects them because that would be part of the positive space or the inside of the object. So I'm just coloring the space around the outside and inside those negative space spots, like the part you stick your thumb and your hand into for the scissors. Those are going to be negative space areas. And now I'm going to come from the top of the scissors blade down the side. I can see that it's a slightly curved line on the outside. I'm just paying attention to the outside of my subject, my scissors, and then it makes a little bump after I've made it past the triangle part. So I am drawing the bump, and then it comes out into the big part for the bottom of your hand. So I'll draw that big oval shape. It gets a little bit more straight on the inside, so I'll make that more of a straight line. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at the part that's in between the scissors. And I see that that makes a little bit of a triangle, just like it did at the top. So I'll turn that into a triangle shape and then connect it. As I go, I'm observing every part of these scissors. I'm not just making up lines, I'm looking as I go, always looking back at my subject and observing. So now I'm gonna go up, and I notice that this one is a much smaller oval than my other side, so I will turn that into an oval shape. and then it has a straight line connecting it down to where the scissor blades are. So I'll make that line up like I did on the other side, a little bit of a curve that goes up, and then they are going to meet with a straight line. So I'll draw that up and over. Once it is connected, I can go in and I can add those negative spaces inside of my scissors where I hold them. So looking at this side, it's another oval, and then I can fill it all in because we're going to color all of our negative space in with whatever color you're using so that your positive space stands out. On my other side, it's kind of like a bean. It goes a little bit curved like an oval, but it makes a little bit of a bean shape, and I'll fill that in as well. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add some black to the outside all around my scissors so I can see it clearly from my paper, and then I will be all done without having drawn anything that is actually on my subject. I'm only drawing the negative space. Now that I've finished up filling in all of that negative space, you can see that I have a pair of scissors without actually drawing any of the inside of my object. What object are you going to choose to practice drawing just negative space?